Have you ever wondered why we still talk about a thinker from the 19th century? Karl Marx's ideas didn't just stay in books. They leaped off the page and reshaped the world. In the 20th century, his framework became a blueprint for massive social change. Think about Eastern Europe in the early 1900s. Leaders there took his analysis of class and economics to build entirely new systems of government, all centered on equality and shared resources. Of course, these weren't exact copies of Marx's theories. They were adapted, twisted, and molded to fit local needs, which really shows how flexible his concepts are. But it wasn't just in Europe. Halfway across the world in East Asia, thinkers were translating his economic arguments into strategies for their own societies, which were mostly rural. They focused on cooperation and community to tackle inequality among farmers. It's fascinating how the same core ideas could be applied to industrial workers in one place and agricultural communities in another. Beyond entire government systems, Marx's influence seeped into the very fabric of our daily lives. Have you ever wondered where the 8-hour workday came from, or the concept of a minimum wage? Many of these campaigns for shorter hours, fair pay, and social security drew direct inspiration from his critique of exploitation. Labor movements and democratic reformers across the globe used his arguments to demand a fairer balance between production, capital, and the people doing the work. Even in countries that completely rejected his political philosophy, his writings forced a conversation that we're still having today. How can we make our economic systems more just? This shows his true power wasn't as a prophet for one specific ideology, but as a brilliant analyst of social change. Of course, a thinker as influential as Marx is bound to attract a lot of debate, and he certainly did. His theories have inspired both passionate followers and fierce critics. Supporters see him as a true pioneer, one of the first to connect deep moral philosophy with hard, empirical economics. They argue he gave us the tools to see how economic systems really work under the surface. But critics have raised some very valid points. For instance, the famous sociologist Max Weber, a contemporary of sorts, argued that it's not just about economics. He believed that cultural values and ethics play a huge role in shaping economic behavior, something he felt Marx overlooked. Then there's the philosopher Karl Popper, who had a major issue with Marx's method. Popper argued that Marx's grand sweeping claims about the inevitable direction of history were just too broad. They were more like prophecies than scientific theories because you couldn't really test or falsify them. Economists who came after Marx also moved on from some of his key ideas, like the labor theory of value. They developed new models based on things like subjective preference and the complex dynamics of the market to explain how prices are set. It wasn't necessarily about proving Marx wrong, but about building more sophisticated tools to understand the economy. And the conversation is still evolving. Contemporary scholars are constantly building on and challenging his framework. Feminist economists, for example, point out a massive blind spot in traditional economics, one that Marx also shared. They highlight the immense value of unpaid domestic labor, cooking, cleaning, childcare, which keeps our entire production system running, but remains completely invisible in economic calculations. Environmental theorists have also picked up his tools. They apply his concepts of production and exploitation to analyze how our industrial systems are impacting the planet, leading to ecological crises. So, despite all the disagreements, most researchers today would agree that Marx's contribution was monumental. He taught us to ask big, systemic questions and to constantly challenge how our economies are organized and what we even mean by progress. So, what is Karl Marx's ultimate legacy? It's huge, and it stretches far beyond the political movements that bore his name. His unique blend of economics, philosophy, and history essentially laid the groundwork for modern social science. Think about it. Before Marx, it wasn't common to systematically analyze the connection between technology, how we produce goods, and our overall human well-being. He made that a central question. Through the 20th century, different interpretations of his ideas fueled everything from labor protection, laws to new education policies and social welfare programs, all aimed at tackling inequality. In the academic world today, Marx stands shoulder to shoulder with other giants like Emil Durkheim and Max Weber as one of the founding fathers of sociology. His ideas are still essential in fields like critical theory, cultural studies, and analyses of globalization. Scholars use his lens to understand some of the biggest challenges we face right now: the rise of automation and its effect on jobs, the nature of digital work in the gig economy, and the urgent need for ecological sustainability. Ultimately, the central question Marx posed over 150 years ago is more relevant than ever. How can we ensure that our incredible powers of production and technological progress actually enhance human well-being for everyone, rather than limiting it for the many? His work is not a dusty old relic. It's a living invitation to reflect on fairness, cooperation, and our collective power to design better, more balanced systems for the future. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this exploration of Marx's ideas interesting, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.